Hey everybody, welcome to Breaking Cinematic Universes. I am Trevor, and joined as always by Patrick. Now, Patrick, you know I've been teasing people that I got us a special guest.
You have.
I've been teasing them. I've been sprinkling the breadcrumbs in front of them. And with that being said, I reached out to this guy a few weeks ago to get him on the show because we're all about the cinematic universes. It doesn't matter what part of the cinematic universes you are. These guys are the unsung heroes in both our eyes, Patrick, and we agreed on that. We have on the show Tony McFarr. Now, Tony McFarr is in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He was actually Chris Pratt's stunt double as Star-Lord. He also worked with Chris on Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Tony, welcome to the show, buddy.
All right, thank you.
So, obviously, we're cinematic universes, which kind of fills into that Guardians of the Galaxy, Jurassic World. But there's one of your movies you've done stunts for that I've really got to talk to you about, because when I saw it on your IMDb profile, I got a little excited.
Which one is that?
You got to be the stunt double for John Hamm in one of my favorite comedies.
Actually, it was very short. It was only a few days. So yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to actually even meet him. It was towards the end. They had actually called me to double him, but I think I was actually doing Jurassic, and so literally when I came back, they were just doing some reshoots of some stuff or whatever, and they used me. So I was either getting ready to leave. It was right in the very beginning, or I was coming back. So there was only like a week or something. Otherwise I would have been able to work more and meet him, but I didn't get to meet him actually.
How did you get paired up with because we talked about Chris Pratt and everything. How did you get paired? Like, how do they seek you out for these type of roles? Is it because of the height, body, build, and that kind of situation?
So I mean, a lot of it goes by that. They try to make the best match they can as far as body type and all that kind of stuff. And if you look like them in the face or whatever, it's just kind of an added bonus. Most of the time, if they see your face, they're in the wrong shot. So, but it's just kind of that whole networking thing. So I was in Atlanta, and they brought all the big pictures, and then you just start meeting coordinators, and you just kind of start putting your stuff out there, and you just start putting your videos out there, and trying to just make a name for yourself. And I think I was actually the second choice. I think one guy had doubled him on Guardians, the first one, the reshoot. They actually shot the first one in England, and he had his stunt double there, which actually I got to meet him on Jurassic 2. Super nice guy. So they called that guy, and he wasn't available to double him on Jurassic 1. He was actually doubling Arnold Schwarzenegger on whatever Terminator it was. So actually, then I got the call, and I showed up, and I was a good match, and just did my part. And that's the thing. Sometimes you get the call, you might not be the first, second, or third choice, but when you get the opportunity, just go and do the best you can. And I got along with Pratt good, and matched up good, and so we had a pretty good little run.
He seems like a funny guy.
Yeah, he's pretty much exactly how you see him. I mean, he's just always in good spirits, and I don't think I've ever seen him yell or be cross with anyone actually. So
that's awesome.
So I will tell you, Tony, Star-Lord the character is a little near and dear to me. I actually, Patrick and I, and his wife and my fiance, we all do cosplay for charity. And Star-Lord is one of the characters I do right now.
Okay.
So when Khalil fell through, I started looking I'm like, who can we get? I'm like, ooh, Star-Lord, stunt double. Tony McFarr, let's call him. You've done a lot of great movies with stunt work wise. I mean, you've done Furious 7. We saw on your Instagram Passengers.
That was a good one.
You told us a story about you actually got to meet the late Chadwick Boseman, who recently passed. We did last week's show talking about him. You got to meet him on the set of Captain America: Civil War. How is it working with the Russos? I've heard nothing but good things from interviews and stuff, but everybody says nice things in interviews.
Yeah, I mean, my time with them on Captain Civil War, I only did a couple weeks, whatever. So yeah, sometimes you know there's just a couple days you work. Sometimes you don't do anything. You sit around. Sometimes you have some nasty stunts. But obviously, when I was doubling, Pratt, I was doing all the stunts and everything like that. But yeah, most of those Marvel movies they run pretty well, like a well-oiled machine. When I did Guardians, that was probably the best one working with James Gunn. I mean, he knew exactly what he wanted. And I mean, we just knocked out stuff, really quick. And, it's nice to work for, a director who knows what they want. And when they get the shot, they just go, we got it. And you don't have to shoot it, 15 more times just in case. But yeah, so I told you I met Chadwick. I mean, I think it was his first day on set and mine. And he came right up to me when I came out of the trailer and, introduced himself and just couldn't have been nicer. And I wasn't even really that familiar with the character Black Panther. So I was like, oh, nice to meet you. And then obviously he blew up. So, but yeah, he was super, super nice guy.
But you're also in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, which I absolutely loved. How was The Rock on that, and like how was the interaction with the crew there?
Yeah, actually, that was really good. That coordinator I've known for a while. I worked with him on Passengers. Jack Gill. He was actually what was it? Bo Duke's stunt double from years back. The Dukes of Hazzard. So just super guy. And actually, The Rock was super super nice and super professional. Yeah, everyone actually. Jack Black, one of the nicest people you'll meet. So yeah, that set was actually it was actually we shot that in Atlanta. That whole bizarre scene was actually in Atlanta. It was freezing cold. And they had set that up between like kind of these really two old dilapidated buildings. And this wind, it just created this wind tunnel that was like 30-mile-an-hour wind blowing through there, just freezing you. But obviously in movie magic, you can't tell at all. But yeah, that was actually a lot of fun to work on that. And like I said, I was supposed to have the scene where The Rock grabs my head and smashes it into a table. When he's coming down, I think when he first turns into the Rock or whatever that character, but they kind of, I guess they kind of cut it. They ran out of time with that. There were so many scenes or whatever. So he was cool. I mean, he has complete control over that. He's like, all right, we kind of set everything up, and then he comes in. He's like, all right, how about I'll do this? And they're like, okay, all right, and I'll do this on this one, okay. So he pretty much runs the show, and knows what looks good, and that's good. And like I said, real professional. And Jack Black, the nicest guy. Yeah.
So as I said, you've also done work with Furious 7. You also did some work with two of my favorite shows. And I have a lot of favorite shows and movies. The Glades and The Finder. I think two shows that got canceled, way too soon.
Oh yeah.
How was it working on those shows?
The Finder actually was my first kind of big show to work on, where I was actually doubling the main guy. I forget his name, Jeff Stoltz.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was another just super 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 nice guy, down to earth. Yeah, I did all the driving on that. I did quite a few, like when I'm driving that little sidecar. I mean, that thing was just terrible, dangerous. Just driving that in general. I'm driving it over the Miami Bridge, and it's windy, and that thing is just whipping all over the place. And at that point, they didn't have like a police shut off the roadway. So I mean, normally that's normal protocol is when we're shooting. So I'm like, are you kidding me? But you just get in different situations, and you just make do with what you got. But yeah, so that, I think that was one of my most dangerous stunts on there. Was it the Glades? I was doing a bridge jump where the bridge is actually opening up, and I have to jump from one side to the other. And it's like kind of at night, and you can't really see the other side of the bridge, so you have to take your best guess. And at the apex, it's about a good 30-foot drop. But if you miss, you're going to crunch into the other side and then drop. So that's the problem. And they were supposed to have some rigging set up, but that didn't happen. So the director asked if, hey, can you do this? And you just like, yeah, I don't see why not. But so luckily we only did it 3 times, and everything was good. I was actually doubling Johan something. He was in I forget which movies those were though. I can't remember. But anyways, and I'd been running around in like shoes that were too small doing this scene, through these cars. So I mean, yeah, my feet are killing me. That like I said, there's there's always some issue. The easiest stunt can be the hardest sometimes, and the hardest stunt can be the easiest.
Yeah, I wish I could say I can understand that, but I have no idea. The hardest stunt I do is getting off the couch most days. Patrick, I think you got a couple other questions for him.
May have lost Trevor's audio. Give us just a second. I'm noting that so we can cut this out.
Are you there?
Yep, we got you back.
Okay.
I'll cut it. You can go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm saying, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to say. So how did you get into stunt work? Was it something you kind of you saw, specific scene or specific movies that you growing up, and you thought like, man, I got to do this. Like, I'm thinking like Jackie Chan or something like that. Obviously, very different stunts. But was there someone that you like looked up to, or a specific scene that just hooked you?
Yeah, actually, I remember watching Big Trouble in Little China and just seeing all those the stunts and the special effects and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I remember that really I was like, that is really, really cool. And to piggyback on that, when I worked on Guardians of the Galaxy, I worked with Kurt Russell, another just nicest guy. I actually got to go golf with him, and I mean, a really good golfer, and just like the nicest average guy. He especially after being in the business since he was a kid. So me and Pat are standing there, and I don't know how we brought it up, but we brought up, what was I just talking about? The Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble,
some of the scenes. He goes, I'm not even a martial artist. He goes, it was the other guy that, could kick everyone's ass and this and that. So he's talking, me and Chris are just like listening to him in rapture, like, oh my God, and he's like, yeah, the one scene I kind of came up with, where I shoot the rocks, or, I shoot the gun and the rocks knock me out. He goes, I came up with that just to kind of take me out of the scene. And we're just like, oh my God, this is so awesome. This is so awesome.
That's hilarious. It's a lot of the collaboration on set. I mean, like he was talking about, like one of my favorite, it's obviously not a stunt, but Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Harrison Ford shooting the guy. It was a total like, this is better for the character. You could have done a stunt fight, but this is better. And similar to what you mentioned about like The Rock knowing like, I want to do this, and knowing not only the business but the stunt aspect, knowing what you can get that camera to capture is got to be just gold at that point.
So actually, I started at Disney. I grew up in Florida and Cocoa Beach area, and then moved to Orlando. And actually just went to one of the auditions they had over here. And basically you go into this, gymnastics facility, and they kind of typecast you out immediately, if you're not the right height or look or whatever.
Sure.
And then, they just put you through the basic, push-ups, pull-ups. And they were actually looking at me for Tarzan. So I was doing all this kind of rope stuff or whatever. I'm glad I didn't get that, because I mean, all those guys blew out all their shoulders, and then that show actually closed early. So I ended up being too tall to be Indiana Jones. So I became the German mechanic. So I was 6'3". And so then they, at that point, they had stopped using like the bald caps and all that kind of stuff. So they just had, as long as you were just bigger than the Indiana Jones was all they were looking for. So I ended up getting that, and it was they kind of show you how to throw punches, take punches, kind of do the falls, and basically you just have to have some kind of athleticism, and then kind of build on that. And then I learned how to do high falls. You start low and then just kind of keep working your way up. I was doing the Lights Motor Action Show, and I was doing the 40-foot high fall there, which is it's a nice little fall. Feel a couple seconds of free fall, nice and peaceful. You just kind of keep working on different elements, and then other guys get into the stunt business. They might be motocross guys, and I have a motorcycle, but I'm not a motocross jumper. So they bring someone as a specialist, and then next thing you know, they're on a set. They see how much money they just made and how much fun it was. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to be a stuntman." So then they learn how to throw punches and all that kind of stuff. So basically how a lot of people get into the stunt world, if they have a specialty, and then they're like, "Oh, I just made how much for doing what? Yeah, I'm in."
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, it's got to be eye opening for, like you said, if you got a niche or that, and like where you did more of a traditional like stunt work as opposed to specialty. But yeah, I could totally see people from doing that, or people who wanted to be like professional wrestlers or something to that effect, because
Yeah.
a lot of the similarity in there. It's stage combat.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how to take a fall and get it right. In as little it takes as possible, because you're eating up everybody else's time if you're the person on set doing that prop. Was there ever a stunt you were asked to do that, like, what you felt was too much, or you were unsure about, or have they been mostly reasonable?
Not really. Some of the wire gags where it's called a ratchet, where you just get yanked back, and basically the first thing that hits is your neck and your head. At first, when you get into the business, you want to do these big nasty stunts, and then towards the end, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You just get smashed to the ground, and then when you see the the movie or the whatever, they could have put a pad down, because they cut it, and it's just so stuff like that. When you're like, oh, if I'm gonna hit the deck, make sure it's in the the movie or the film or whatever. Put that pad down for me. Put a pad down.
Yeah.
So, I think the one, actually, the opening scene in Guardians of the Galaxy, that was the opening scene where I smashed into these stairs, and I ended up getting 10 staples in my head.
Ooh.
And yeah, that was one I knew I was going to just wreck. And luckily, I got the the gun that was made of plastic up over my face. Otherwise, my face would have just been smashed. And then at that point, you're done. They just bring in the next guy. So I mean, it's
Jeez.
and
Was your take? Was that your take on there? Or,
shooting? What's that?
yeah. Was that your take that got into the? Or do you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you hit pause, you see me scorpion. That's the real deal right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
luckily, it was a one take, and he's supposed to be dazed. Oh, those are the dogs. He's supposed to be dazed, which obviously I didn't have to act. Once I hit, I was like, all right, you're not knocked out. So get up. And, James Gunn was like, oh my God, that's awesome. That's great. We got it. And then, start bleeding from my head, and then go get my staples and come back to work.
Yeah. I mean, at least you got the, at least it was worth it in the end. I mean, yeah, it was painful, but you got that shot.
Yeah.
Now,
then that was cool. Actually, that was me flying around, and, I'm like 30 feet, over everyone, just flying around, shooting at that, octopus thing or whatever. And, so yeah, that was actually pretty cool. But that mask, I mean, you couldn't see, I could barely breathe. And
now
it's just,
that
it looks cool, but yeah.
Now that I can agree with you on. That one I could say I 100% understand with you on that.
Yeah.
I've got two of them, and neither one of them is very breathable or can you see very well. But so with you being a stunt actor, stunt man, a lot of directors nowadays, a couple of the bigger directors lately have come out of the stunt world. Chad Stahelski. Went from being a stunt
I'm
guy.
not a big fan of his, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, a lot of these guys are coming out of doing stunts, and they're making these movies like John Wick and whatnot. Yeah. Have you thought about getting into directing?
No, really. I thought about just mostly getting out of the business. When you get in, you want to do all these cool things, and you do. And that's the other thing, is I wasn't from LA, so it's pretty nasty, backstabbing business, basically. Since I wasn't in LA, and I was just a Georgia guy, all the LA people get upset at you. And then since I was doubling Chris Pratt, and it wasn't an LA guy doing it, I mean, it's a pretty nasty, disgusting business. So that's why I have 2 restaurants now. I'm getting ready to open the second one. It's unfortunate that it's kind of like, that Ellen DeGeneres show, and its toxic environment. That's how quite a few shows are. And that's how a lot of the coordinators are. And that's how Chad Stahelski and the crew that he runs, 8711, they ended up blackballing me on end games, because I called one of their guys out. So they went out of their way to make sure I didn't work on that, end games 1 and 2. So I have a bitter taste in my mouth.
Gotcha. Understandable.
So yeah, it's his crew, and they, he was 8711, which he had created. He had been I guess, kicked out of all the other stunt groups. So he created his own, and they run it pretty bad as far as just treating people like garbage. You know, if you're not one of the crew, you know, or one of the inner circle, it's like junior high. But when you're throwing, you know, tons of money around, you know, it gets pretty nasty. So it's a lot of what do I say? I go the backstabbing and the insecurity and jealousy is pretty bad, and that's just my close circle of friends. Then it gets really bad.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the stunt people and watching, you know, some behind the scenes and stuff. There's a lot of trust involved. Like you're talking about specific stunt crews, you know those people really well, but to not respect someone who's not part of your circle, I think is disrespectful. I didn't know that about them. Not that I'm going to slam everybody or anything, but
well, and basically
to me,
what happens is if you're not part of their core group, and I saw it happen many times, and then if you get hurt. And even if it's not your fault, they immediately just say it's your fault. You know, if it was like, you know, their son or whatever, oh no, you know, but I mean, I saw it happen and I'm like, man, it's just, like I said, I got a bad taste, you know, just seeing how people are treated. Just, you know, like I said, there's maybe Guardians and a couple other sets where I was just like, oh my God, we're actually making a movie. Everyone's cool. You know, it's not, you know, hey, what can I do to, you know, undermine this guy or screw him over or So unfortunately, that's the dark side.
Sure. I was going to ask because you're talking about like you know, Jurassic and possibly getting out of it because of, you know, LA versus outside of LA and everything. I was going to ask if you were going to be involved in any way in Jurassic World Dominion or
No. So once this guy Sam Hargraves, who was Captain American stunt double, he took over coordinating. He went out of his way to blackball me on Endgames 1 and 2. And even Pratt was just like, nope, Tony's my guy. Nope, Tony's my guy. And I just come off doing Guardians where, you know, I was Star-Lord and just knocked it out of the park. And he was just like, no, you just don't have the skills. I'm like, are you serious, buddy? Like I just finished. And Pratt even called the director and was just like, hey, this guy's trying to say that Tony, and James was like, Tony's great. You need to stick with him. But, you know, Pratt being just such a nice guy was just like, hey, buddy, I'll get you. You know, it ended up costing me, you know, quite a bit of money. And, so like I said, left a really bad taste in my mouth, and you know, they just went out of their way just to be nasty and vindictive for, you know, I called one of their guys out, you know, for just treating people like garbage. And I was like, is that necessary? And I mean, that was it, man. I was out.
So, I get it, man. I get it. Well, you said you're going to the restaurant business. What, or sorry, you're already in it. You're opening up a second restaurant. Where's that restaurant?
Well, yeah, I have one up in Georgia and Peachtree City. It's a poke place. It's a build your own poke and salad and wrap plate, and it's doing really well. It got a little crunch from COVID, but we're back up and running. So that's doing really well. And then actually I'm down here in Orlando now. I just moved out of Georgia completely. I just wanted to be away from the business. And there's a handful of coordinators that if they call, I'll work for. But that's the other part is, I mean, just the amount of, you know, hustling and just ass kissing and just like to try to get work. And I mean, these guys are on such power trips. You know, I met so many coordinators that were just, I had so much respect for, you know, back in the day, they had done this or that. And I'm like, and then I meet them and they're just like so nasty and vindictive. And I was like, oh,
that's terrible.
It's just really, I mean, really disappointing, you know? So, but then, so I'm opening one down here and then I got another one in the works in another year or so. So that's all going good. So I'm glad. And my back and everything, you know, I mean, you can only get slammed to the ground so many times. My back cracks all over the place, you know?
I wasn't going to mention, like, you know, as you get older, not wanting to get thrown around as much, but yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So a lot of the older guys, they get into the driving part, which, you know, so you're not really, you know, hitting the deck so much.
Yeah. We're both in Tampa. So maybe he and I will have to make a trip out there and visit your restaurant.
Yeah. So it's on the backside of Disney, where the Disney colleges or whatever. I can actually see the Magic Kingdom. So yeah, we're in the process of, you know, doing the build out. So that's still, you know, several months down the road if everything goes smoothly. But the other thing I did is incorporate, you know, my movie stuff, and I call it Real Bowls, and then the one up there is called the Fit Kitchen. But I have the movie posters and then the behind the scenes pictures underneath. So, you know, and when I was in Hawaii working on Jurassic 1 and 2, that's where poke is originated from. So, you know, it all kind of ties in. And then actually, got a really good product, and people really enjoy that. Some people, just think I like movies, so they don't even they don't even know. They just are like, oh, he must be into movies, and they don't realize. Some people know, and it's a cool thing for them to know. When they come in there, they're like, oh, okay. But yeah, I'd rather people come in for the food than for anything else.
You've obviously done stunts for Pratt. Of all the other actors you may have done stunts for, who's your favorite?
I would say, yeah, definitely Pratt. I mean, yeah, like I said, we got along really good, and we used to golf and hang out a little bit here and there, and yeah, just I think on Jurassic One there was a couple nasty stunts or whatever that I did, but after that, when I started doing what was it, Passengers, there was just a ton of just me. When the actor trusts you enough that they let you do it, quite a bit of stuff because they trust you, and you're going to make them look good. It's that's when it's a good thing. And like Guardians, when I was flying around, he could have done that. I mean, he can do a lot of his own stunts. But yeah, when they trust you and they're just like, you do it, and you're like, oh, that's cool.
It seems like there's not an ego about it as well. Not to slam anybody or anything, but like you hear the stories about like Tom Cruise, obviously wanted to do as many stunts as possible, which in some cases costs the company money, costs the production money if your star gets hurt. That's one of the reasons for stunt acting. It's not just about can this person do it, but like there's a risk factor involved.
And I mean, he went through so many stunt doubles. I mean, as soon as one of his stunt doubles, I guess, said that they did the stunt, boom, they were gone. Know, because yeah, obviously they do all the stunts just to make sure it's safe for him to do it. Sure. But yeah, and yeah, it is a shame when some of these actors say they do all their own stunts, and it's like, really? No, you don't.
It kills me when they don't. When someone who says that they do. Like I'm a musician as well, and I see the same thing with like musicians, where obviously we got all these different tools they can do as in Pro Tools to edit, and you can't tell, but there are culprits that you would be surprised about who can barely play the licks that are on guitar or drums. And it's the same thing. It's like just have some humility about it. Like say, hey, I couldn't get this part right. I had to have someone else come in. To me, that just props up other people around you, and I think that's important in any business.
Yeah, and yeah, Chris is he's put me on his Instagram a couple times and stuff like that on Guardians, and yeah, so I mean it's always been cool, So yeah, I mean those were, and that's the other thing is when you're actually the number one 1X stunt double, you get treated so much different than if you're just there doing stunt, and that's the other thing too. It's just like we're all just humans, and we all should just be treated decently unless you have a reason to not treat someone decent. But if I walk in as Chris Pratt's double, they're like, hey buddy, and then if I walk in as just a regular stunt guy they don't know, they're like, hey, just shut up, sit down, and you're like, are you serious?
So one last question for you, Tony, before we cut you loose here so you can go do the work on the restaurant. One of the upcoming films you have, real quick, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I actually literally just sat down and watched a documentary on Ed and Lorraine Warren on Travel Channel's app. How is it working from a action movie to a horror movie? Like, what's the difference? And are you Patrick Wilson's guy for this?
No, so that's a funny story. Is actually I just worked one day on it, and basically the stunt is wheeling him down a wheelchair and some really steep steps. That was the stunt. And so they brought me in just because I'm a bigger guy, and you would think it's pretty easy, but I mean they're really steep steps, concrete, and I mean we had to go down, I don't know, about 8 of them, and but he was actually a super nice guy. So it was just me, yeah. So that's what I said about sometimes the stunts are really weird, but you have to make sure that the actor, you don't drop the actor, because then then it's done. Because I have to flip them up so I can wheel them down. And like I said, these are these big like city hall steps. It's where do we shoot that in? Some older place up in Atlanta. What was that? Griffin City Hall or something. It's kind of this older town. But yeah, so when you watch the movie, I'm the police officer or security guard wheeling them down.
Nice.
But yeah, he was actually really nice. The lady, so she didn't say one word to me, which was pretty funny. So it's only me, him, and her standing there, in between. And he would talk to me, this and that, but she did not acknowledge my existence at all. Not even eye contact. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can just say like, hi, hello, and that's it. But I mean, not even, I'm just like, oh, you guys it's ridiculous, man, that the business and how people are treated or how they think they should be treated. And I'm like, listen, you put your pants on the same way I do. And, so as you can tell, I'm pretty over the business and how people are treated.
I totally get it.
Well, we appreciate the time, Tony. I'm going to ask you real quick. Do you mind if we use one of your photos for the cover for this podcast?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking the one with you and, the one with you and many pictures of you and Chris Pratt. Although I am loving that Star-Lord jacket. That's a lot better than the one I have. But listen, man, we appreciate it. You've been super awesome. We definitely want to come out, try out the restaurant when it opens in Orlando. So, dude, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Patrick, I appreciate it. I'll keep you posted on the restaurant and just keep going, rocking on.
Got it, man. We'll be there.
Man, how awesome was that, dude?
Dude, that was fantastic. It's always nice seeing someone who, not only gets, have knowledge of what's going on in the business, but someone who's just completely down to earth, without the hubris, just, straight up like, you're just a person doing a job and all these other people are existing with you. That's how humanity should run, man.
No, it absolutely should. I mean,
I'm going to his restaurant, by the way. It's the Fit Kitchen. He didn't actually plug the name, but the Fit Kitchen off Peachtree in Georgia, opening up another one in Orlando. So I'm going to go to they even have a date night, by the way. If you click on their experiences, they have like a special date night thing you can do. So I'm totally going to hit this up when it opens.
Yeah, I think the one in Orlando is going to be called Real Bowls. I'm guessing REEL.
Okay.
I think that's what he said. I'll confirm with him later. Yeah, dude, we need to go out there, even if it's a double date, dude. Why not, right?
Heck yeah.
I mean, hell, in 30 days, I'm going to be married.
Yeah. Well, another thing, and I think he was definitely talking to us because he probably knows where we are. But for those of you who didn't know, when he was talking about the stunts at Disney, he was talking about the stunt shows at Disney's Hollywood Studios, which every time when he mentioned those, I'm like, I know exactly what fall he's talking about. I know exactly. He mentioned German Mechanic #3. I'm like, I know exactly who you are.
I got to be an audience member, like on the stage for Indiana Jones once. I think I was #3, the one that did like the little dance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got to be that guy.
That's a fun show. It's one reason, if your fast passes and what have you, and the reservation system, what have you, that they're doing, if you got time, like it's only during the day, but man, that's a fun one.
No, it absolutely is. But it was interesting just to kind of hear him. Dude got to golf with Chris Pratt and Kurt Russell.
I was gonna say, like that's amazing. Man, Kurt Russell's been in the business, like he was talking about. Kurt Russell's been in the business forever. People don't think about or people don't remember the early stuff that he did with Disney and everything. But man, yeah, he's been around.
When did he? Hold on,
he did the Computer War tennis shoes, man, like 1969. I mean, that wasn't even his first role, but yeah, man, he goes way back as a kid.
That was 13 years before I was even born.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the computer that wore tennis shoes, like you just looked up, that was 13 years before I was born.
Yep. I mean, and
69.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on about Kurt Russell in the movies that he's been in, but yeah, that's those ones that people forget. People remember like Escape from LA and Escape from New York. Hateful Eight is fantastic.
Oh, thank you God, he's doing the Christmas Chronicles too.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, who else are they going to get to play Santa in that version of Santa? Which I will say, to me, it's not near as good as like the Santa Claus or something like that. But I thought it was fun. One
of my favorite movies, and he wasn't even in it very long.
What's that?
Sky High.
Dude, Sky High. People do not talk enough about Sky High. That movie is great. That's a great superhero movie, just a cheesy movie that like is unapologetically about what it is. I loved it.
Hold on. Yeah, what you're now hearing, if you can hear it, is the thunder and lightning. And by the way, dude, that actually 1969 was not his first acting gig.
No, he goes way back.
1962.
Wow, and the Dennis the Menace TV series, I double checked that too. Wow.
And he also did this. He was credited as doing the stunts on Backdraft in 1991. Still one of my favorite movies, along with Tombstone.
Yeah, Backdraft's good.
Those are two movies that when they're on, there's very few movies where I can legitimately say, hey, if I'm flipping through the channel and my fiance is home with me and I see it, I'm like, nope, stop. We're watching that.
Yep.
There's three I can name off the top of my head. Just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption.
Really?
Oh, God, yes.
I got to be ready for something like that.
Andy Dufresne is the only man that crawled through 500 yards of shit and came out a clean man. Shawshank Redemption. God darn it, now you threw me off. Backdraft.
Yeah.
And there's one more I can't.
It wasn't Tombstone. You mentioned Tombstone. Earlier.
Yes.
It was Tombstone. Okay.
I don't care what part of Tombstone, and he wasn't in Tombstone. Well, no, he was in White Earp.
Yeah.
But regardless, Tombstone, if it's on, I'm watching it.
Yeah, that's a damn good movie. That's some good stuff. By the way, speaking of movies, we do talk about like, all the cinematic universes and stuff. And I went to a drive-in to see New Mutants because
How was it?
It was okay. It's not bad. It's very different in tone.
It's basically a horror movie, isn't it?
Yeah, kinda. To me, it wasn't scary, but the tone is more of a horror movie than it is superheroes. Because while they do have powers, they are, they're in a situation that is much more of a horror trope than it is a superhero movie. Some of the special effects I felt were a little bit lacking towards the end. And there's a lot of things that they set up that we're never going to see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or if we see it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's a long time in the future before they set up certain characters. And I don't know if we want to quasi spoil if I say what they're trying to set up in a movie. I don't know if we want to have a spoiler warning right now, I guess.
Hold on.
If you're cool.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to YouTube. We can cut this down. I'm going to get a spoiler warning sound effect.
Okay.
They gotta have one.
I was gonna say, dude, I can edit that in.
Let me see if they have one. SFX. I'm sorry, I'm radio guy, dude.
Dude, I'll edit it in post. It's cool.
Let me see. I think I found it here. Let me make sure this is it.
There we go. There's your spoiler warning. I'm not going to even spoil the movie. I'm just going to say they mentioned the Essex Corporation, which was also...
I'm sorry. That damn thing's been mentioned so many times.
Twice. It's twice now.
It doesn't matter. It's been mentioned, and they have done shit with it.
That would be Mr. Sinister. So it was mentioned twice. It was mentioned in... was it Days of Future Past? And it was mentioned in this. And they were setting up Mr. Sinister to be a future villain. And that's what the next movie was going to be. The next Fox X-Men movie was going to feature Mr. Sinister. And obviously that's never going to happen now.
So another thing I want to get off my chest, a buddy of ours has been posting this. And I feel bad for him because he's getting his hopes up. Circulating the web is currently... from another Facebook page, something big is coming. And it says at the bottom, fan poster for Avengers Secret Wars.
Yeah, but that's not the next phase.
No.
That's not the next phase. I'm sorry.
That may be the end of phase 5. That ain't going to be the end of phase 4.
Yeah.
Because Joe and Anthony Russo have got so much on their plate right now because of the MCU that
they're retooling too much to do Secret Wars. Like, you can't do Secret Wars, which is a total like mashup team up. You have to build to that, which means that we're going to build this entire phase. Maybe that'll be in the next phase, like you mentioned. Maybe that's in phase 5. But this phase is a rebuilding phase. We lost 3 of the biggest names in regards to Avengers. This is a rebuilding phase. It's like a rebuilding year for an NFL franchise, and I'm not a football guy, but that's what this is. Like, you got to take the time. No, I'm playing fantasy football, by the way. I got roped into that.
Do you need help?
I'll let you know. So far, I think I'm all right, but I'll send you my draft picks and let you know, and see what you think about it. But as someone who I've played fantasy football a few times before, but I don't know the players, so I have to go straight up on stats or like Google stuff. So I'm at a disadvantage when it comes to that. But it's a fun camaraderie kind of thing to me. It wasn't really about the sport. It was more about like, hey, I get to hang out with talk to people and give a reason to talk to people outside of work and such.
Yeah, you got to get out every so often.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, New Mutants, if you it's very different. Don't go in thinking it's an X-Men movie. Don't go in thinking it's a Marvel movie. They even there's even like little bits in there where you're like, they're totally trying to drum up the fact that it has a connection to X-Men. And if it's a catch it on Netflix kind of situation. Catch it on Netflix, or I guess when it comes to Disney Plus, because that's probably where it'll come next.
But yeah, I mean, this poster's been circulating, and they even put on the post, it's a fan poster.
Yeah.
But they're trying to tease something big, and that's something you're never going to get from us at Breaking Cinematic Universes. If we tease you with something, it's going to be legit. We're not going to, just throw the breadcrumbs out there only to not give a payoff. Hence me saying I had a huge to us, that's a huge guess because the guy's been there standing next to Kurt Russell and Chris Pratt. Yeah. He has gotten to wear the damn Star-Lord outfit. The legit one.
Yep.
You're like, dude, did they by chance give you a spare shirt? Like an undershirt?
Yeah, dude, it's cool seeing someone who's been in the business and seen the behind the scenes and how that works. And it's really cool seeing someone who gives it to you straight up about like, it's exactly how I'd expect working for James Gunn was. Like, that's exactly like how he described it is exactly how I would expect, not in the controlling aspect, but it's like, he knows exactly what he's getting. And once you've got it, you've got it. He's not wasting anybody's time. And that's honestly what makes James Gunn one of the greatest directors out right now.
No, that's right. Everybody loves working for him.
Yeah. And that's why.
Why do you think Marvel realized, oh shit, we made a mistake?
Yep. And now and honestly, I'm going to guess that the Suicide Squad, the movie that comes out, is probably going to be one of the best DC movies, specifically because of his hand in it.
Dude, I wouldn't be shocked if after he does Guardians 3, he's done with the MCU. And DC somehow, some way ropes him into like being the Kevin Feige of the DCU.
Man, someone's got to do it. I don't know if he's the right person to do it, but someone's got to do it. Honestly, someone needs to get them on the right track when it comes to having an overall vision. And DC and Warner needs to trust whoever that is. And not try to undermine them like they did with Snyder, because like it or not, Snyder had a vision overall what he wanted, and it got toyed with. And then as soon as he had to step away, everything fell apart. So it's tough.
It is. If you like sports, and who doesn't, you can check us out at thescrumsports.com. Currently, the Lightning are kicking ass, taking names in the NHL bubble. They're currently in the Eastern Conference Final, leading 1-0 against the New York Islanders after an 8-2 trouncing on Monday night. But that's enough for me. Enough of my shameless plug.
Yeah, if you like video games, video game news, like talking the ins and outs of the business, kind of like what we're doing about Marvel, about the breaking cinematic universes. If you like that kind of aspect of shows, but on video games, check out the Land Cave. If you're on this RSS feed, you already got it. Give us a listen. We, like I said, we do deep dives into what's happening. Again, being accurate. We're fans, but we try not to fanboy about something that's coming out.
Oh
We're
my
not gonna.
God, Marvel is so amazing, or Avengers is so amazing.
Oh yes, we try not to do that. It's like let's give them actual content. So like for example, the PlayStation 5, still don't know what the heck's happened on that. Xbox, we actually got something new on that. So check out the Land Cave for more info on that.
And that does it for us this week. Thank you so much to Tony McFarr for joining us. Hopefully that's the first of many guests we are going to have on the show.
Yeah.
As soon as I can figure out how to reach some of them. But that does it for us this week. I mean, I don't know what else. By the way, Avengers is an awesome game. Go get it for Xbox. And you know what? Hey, if you want to play with me on Xbox, do it. Trevor G 98.7. I'm throwing it out there.
Do it.
But yeah, it does it for us this week. Thanks to Tony McFarr. Patrick, thank you as always for being an awesome number 2 chair. Because there has to be number two chair. I mean, I will never call somebody a co-host. I'll always say a number 2 chair because in a show like this and the hockey shows I do, I feel like we're both hosts.
I get to be William Riker, so I'm okay with that.
Make it so.
Have a good one, guys.